Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh. We need to talk about Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and the MCU reboot. Over the past week or two, there have been a ton of leaks and rumors coming out about these movies, and a lot of them sucked ass. I was really down about it, thought it was stupid. And then out of nowhere from the top row, there came some new rumors that are actually fucking awesome. So in this video, I want to break down everything that's going on. In all seriousness, there's a lot. You probably missed some of this stuff. I also want to bring in some wider context here. So we'll go over all of the new leaks. Then at the end of this video, I want to address the whole leak with Steve Rogers and the incursions and Doctor Doom stuff, because some of this new stuff does make that stuff make a little bit more sense. Okay, so first off, one of the things I want to talk about is this big Q&A that Alex Perez did over at the Cosmic Circus. And there's a couple of different things in here that are really wild, but there's one in particular I want to bring to your attention. Check this out. Alex is asked about the universes merging after Secret Wars, kind of like for the reboot. And here's what he says here. He says, I have heard that the new Earth 616 will combine elements from all these variant Earths to make it into the Earth 616 it was originally. What? Hold that thought. I know the last sentence might confuse you, so let me try to break it down. Back when Avengers 5 was still the Kang Dynasty, one of the big twists was how the Earth we have seen in these films and shows is not Earth 616, but rather a version of Earth 616 cultivated by He Who Remains that removed many heroes from what was originally Earth 616. This would have been called Earth Prime. That's why Doctor Strange vaguely remembers the Fantastic Four as a band that charted in the 60s instead of them being world-renowned astronauts who gained the powers after space exploration, or why Eric Lyncher never became Magneto, or why Charles Xavier was a simple college professor. The reset expected in Avengers Secret Wars would alter that course of events and bring with it an Earth that was always meant to be filled with the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. And we'd basically be in the middle of a timeline where everybody in the world thinks that this was always the case from the beginning of time. Think of the episode in The Flash from season 6 that occurs after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Cisco has a meltdown about the consequences of that, episode 10 if I'm not mistaken. That summarizes what Marvel Studios planned for the main Earth post-Secret Wars would look like. Now that's pretty crazy in and of itself, but one of the things that's kind of wild in there is Alex is saying in the original version of the Kang Dynasty, that was going to be what it was. And yet it's still going to be the resolution. So the question is like, will that somehow show up in Avengers Doomsday and in Avengers Secret Wars? And I think the answer would have to be yes. I think it's going to be altered a bit, and obviously it's not going to be Kang, and it kind of seems like Marvel's not going to want to mention Kang at all. But that language is really interesting. The heroes have been taken out. He's not saying like eliminated, but he's saying like put in these other universes. And that line about Doctor Strange vaguely remembering the Fantastic Four as a band that charted in the 60s is really, really interesting, because Doctor Strange, of course, loved classic music and he was really good at recalling music. That's like in his movies, right? So he almost has like a photographic memory, as he has said before, for music. It's interesting that when Reed Richards says Fantastic Four, he remembers a band in the 60s, right? Kind of close to like that thing that he's very good at remembering. And what Alex is saying here in this new scoop is that that is why he vaguely remembers them, because there was a version of the universe and there were version of events that happened where the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the X-Men were all in the same universe. And if Doctor Strange kind of remembers that, that implies that Doctor Strange was there in that original Prime universe. That is really freaking cool. I'm actually going to do a whole video about this, because that implies that other characters, even potentially the ones from the other universes, like maybe Reed Richards or Victor Von Doom, would also have fragments of memories from that original version of the universe before He Remains and before the Sacred Timeline and the TVA. The question would be then, would there be a way to gain those memories back, perhaps through the use of magic? And is that perhaps what Doctor Strange was out there doing, or rather Doctor Doom was out there doing, before going to confront Reed and Franklin and Sue in the Baxter building at the end of the Fantastic Four movie? To me, this is so damn cool, because one of the reasons I was kind of upset about the rumors of Chris Evans and what they were doing with that in Doomsday, which we'll talk about more in a second here, but one of the reasons I was upset is because it felt to me like they were throwing some of this other stuff out, right? This rumor had already been out there that you you were going to have this prime Earth or this version of 616 that existed before everything, and it had been implied by some of the scoopers and insiders that RDJ's Doctor Doom comes from that Earth. However, after Fantastic Four, it was like more or less established that he's from the Fantastic Four universe, that theory looked like maybe it was in question. And then definitely with the stuff that was going on last week with the Chris Evans stuff, I was like, oh, they're not doing that at all, because it seemed like they didn't want to go into that Kang stuff. They don't want to go with this fact that there was a version of the universe that they all existed in before. And instead, it was just going to be that when Steve went to go live in that universe with Peggy, he started all the incursions and destroyed everything. So Doctor Doom was simply going to go try to stop that, to stop the multiverse from having incursions, right? That is just Doom saying, I don't want the multiverse to be destroyed. That is not the same thing as Doom being like, yo, the multiverse is fake. I belong in the sacred timeline. Y'all ripped me out of it. You ripped the X-Men out of it. This is a fake reality, and I hate that. But now, with this being confirmed to still be the mindset that's going to guide how the universes are put back together after Secret Wars, that implies to me that this is still on the table as something Marvel's going to tell as a part of their story. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about that Alex just revealed about Doctor Strange and Clea, which I think is really cool, and then we'll get more into the leaks of friggin' Steve Rogers and how all that fits together. So, a couple of different things here, okay? First of all, Alex just cryptically tweeted out, "Don't trust Clea," which I think is really cool. It got me excited. I actually talked about it on stream on Friday, put a clip out about it, because that's a cool prospect. It means there's still some juice in this story with Doomsday, and there could be something really crazy going on with Clea. Now, Alex said in his newest Q&A for the Cosmic Circus that Clea and Doctor Strange are still in Doomsday, and they're still a big part of this whole story, that they have been dealing with incursions, and Alex even implies that they've been dealing with incursions by any means necessary, meaning they're probably out there destroying entire worlds or other universes. And the old rumors were that Clea was going to be connected to the Black Priest and some Jonathan Hickman stuff that would see Doctor Strange going out there and witnessing different groups of folks playing the game of worlds, destroying planets as the entire multiverse was collapsing to try to save themselves. Alex also says that when they roll back up, like when Clea and Doctor Strange show back up in Avengers Doomsday, they will have been gone for 3 to 4 years because of the way that the dark dimension works. So they're going to be gone and have had a whole ass adventure, and you can't trust Clea, and Doctor Strange is doing shady things. To me, it seems like this could all be headed in a direction where Doctor Doom was secretly involved with Clea and the Black Priest or some other big players out there as the multiverse was collapsing. So there's room here, basically, for the whole collapse of the multiverse, for Doctor Doom's motivations, for the things that are going on with Stephen Strange, Clea, the Black Priest, and just different multiversal forces out there. There's still room for that to be really cool and a lot more like the Jonathan Hickman Time Runs Out comic book. So that is basically where all of this is headed to, right? If I had to just kind of explain to you guys what's been going on with me and the Doomsday leaks, when Shine dropped last week that Chris Evans, Captain America, causes all the incursions, Doom wants to kill him to prevent that from happening, somehow using causal time travel, right, to stop that, it just threw me way off, because I was like, man, first of all, what's up with the evil Avengers? That appears to be not true whatsoever, right? But beyond that, I had expected more, and I had heard all this stuff about Doom's motivation and Doom's anger towards He Who Remains, and the fact that the sacred timeline had removed the X-Men and had removed the Fantastic Four and thereby removed Doctor Doom as well, right? I was like, man, it seems kind of lame. It seems like they've just boiled the whole plot down and they're stripping out everything important and they're just streamlining this thing. And it's just Doctor Doom's going to go find Steve Rogers, he's going to trick the Avengers, get to the TVA, go kill Steve Rogers to try to stop all of the incursions from happening, because all that Doom wants is just the multiverse to survive. I was like, that's lame. Doom should want more than that, because Doom should be mad that the reality is fake and that He Who Remains tore it all apart. Well, with Alex's new comments about what's going on with the reboot, the sort of soft reboot and how that's going to work, and this idea of the Prime 616 universe, man, I'm like right back on board with all the hype and the theory crafting, because it's very possible that Doom might just say that that's what he's trying to do in the film, that there might be this presented plot in Doomsday that's very simple and linear, and Doom just wants to kill Steve Rogers to eliminate that. But maybe that's not what it is. Maybe there's something else going on, a la Clea, a la the Black Priest, what's going on with Doctor Strange, but also with Doom very much understanding what He Who Remains did and how the universe should be put back to a prime version of the universe. So I think ultimately we're still looking at something with Doctor Doom where he has this knowledge of what was going on in the universe. Maybe he can unlock all of those memories, like in the way that Steven vaguely remembers the Fantastic Four. Maybe Doctor Doom can just have total and full ass memories of what the prime universe was, right? Which would be pretty freaking crazy. And there could even be more to like why Doctor Doom looks like Tony. Like I was thinking about this with like the other Fantastic Four movie, Chris Evans and Captain America. And it almost seems like this could be a thing explained by the prime universe being split up, almost like a Final Crisis effect where certain characters in different universes look the same, even though they're different characters. It's almost like these echoes or mirrors of the prime universe making their way into these separated timelines that the TVA and He Who Remains did. But I'm yapping a little bit. I know it's getting a little nerdy in here. I'm going to do a big theory video that kind of pulls a lot of this together in a more concise way. But for the sake of this video, what I want to say is I think there's still a lot of room for mystery and fun stuff within Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And it, thankfully, like the thing that has me most excited is that it still feels like a lot of our theory crafting and the ideas that were presented in the different projects like Loki, even Quantum Mania, and just some of these other projects, like it seems like that's still going to be a part of it. So, you know, thank God, because the way that Shine had kind of presented the leaks got me kind of down. Alex said some stuff's got me feeling a lot better. So just wanted to bring that to your attention here in this video. I'll probably talk more about this on stream this week too. So if you have some questions, come on by the live stream. You can ask me like live, you know, what are your thoughts on this? Or do you think maybe you figured something out or whatever? Let me know. And also let me know what you think about this in the comment section below here. I might have already said that. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.